Well, it's a big weekend in the Donegal Senior Football Championship with all four quarter-finals scheduled for Saturday and Sunday. And we've got out and about here, beautiful Fintown, Park Acla here in Fintown with our colleague from Jackson's Media TV, Brendan O'Donnell. So Alan and Chris are with me, and we're looking forward to the four quarter-finals. Alan, I'll start with you. First one on Saturday afternoon in Killybegs. It's K.A.A against Four Masters. You've seen Masters. Any chance they might cause a bit of a shock and beat K.A.A?
It's a big ask, I think, Charlie, because K.A.A have been quite impressive this year. They've gone through 100%. You know, I suppose we all remember last year where the Russian roulette kicked in and K.A.A were beaten on points difference and they ended up by Donegal and St Michael's. So this year's been pretty smooth for K.A.A, and they're going along nicely. I know they lost in the league the last day, but I think all in all they're kind of getting there. They've had a lot of injuries, they're getting players back, so I think they'd start this game as really firm favourites against the Four Masters side, who have lost a lot of players as well, of course, as we spoke about recently. But I think it's a big ask for Four Masters to try and topple K.A.A here.
Yeah, they've sort of staggered their way into the quarter final because Glenfin should have beaten them in the first game. They were beaten by St Michael's and then just got over the line against Cloughaneely, so that they haven't shown any form that would suggest they'll be good enough to beat K.A.A.
Not at all, really, but I suppose from their point of view they can take the positive getting over the Cloughaneely. It was a real banana skin sort of game, because the game before that they'd been beaten at home by 10 points by St Michael's. The sort of game was bound to hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
And I suppose Michael Doherty, even the first game, as you said, they struggled against Glenfin, but Michael Doherty pulled them through that day, and on his day he's a match winner. So I suppose from their own point of view, maybe the fact they are such being written off and underdogs, you know, it might suit them, because they don't really think they have much to lose here, to tell you the truth, Charlie.
But K.A.A won it.
K.A.A won it, yeah.
Yeah. Similar story, Niamh Connell against Termon. Termon have kind of nosedived into the quarterfinals as well, just on scores. Niamh Wora almost pipped them. Lost by 10 points down in K.A.A. Not the best way to be going into a match against Niamh Connell, who've been impressive in their group matches so far, Chris.
Yeah, Niamh Connell, I suppose, are definitely one of the favourites. You know, when you look at that Donegal Championship at the start of the year and the panel of players that Niamh Connell have, you know, they're two times former winners in recent years. And looking at the forward line of Niamh Connell in particular, like, it's where they're really strong. You know, the likes of Dermot Malloy and Dara Gallagher, like, I mean, they're capable of putting up big scores against anybody. You throw in the likes of Anthony Thompson and Leo McClune, like, it's a serious panel of players to be taken into a championship quarter final. Very much like Four Masters, it's a huge ask for Termon to pull this one out of the fire. You know, they sort of did stumble into the quarter final. You know, the calculators were out that day down in the banks, and they got in by virtue of the fact that they scored, I think it was 3 more points than Niamh Wora. So, you know, it's not to say that maybe Termon have been impressive. Okay, look, they're deserving of their place in the quarter final and they've earned it, but this is a huge ask for them. I mean, it's against a team that has serious designs on taking Dr. Maguire back to Glanties.
And Termon won't thank me for mentioning it, but they staggered into the quarterfinals last year, beating G.A.A down the Burn Road, and then came up against Glenswilly in the quarterfinals and were just completely blown away. Now, that happened a week after they'd beaten G.A.A. They've had a kind of a fortnight to think about it, but still, you know, they're going to have to show a huge improvement to have any chance against Niamh Connell.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. And I suppose the big thing that maybe goes against Termon as well is that they're operating in Division 2 of the All-County League, whereas, you know, these other teams are coming in, they're playing each other, and, you know, we talk about it at county level, the importance of league football, and really at county or club level, it's hugely important to be playing against the top teams, you know, because your calibre of opposition week in, week out, it's these teams that are going to be winning the championship, or these teams that are going to be challenging to win the championship, whereas Termon, you know, there's some of their opposition are playing in the intermediate championship. It certainly is like there's a huge gulf between Division 1 and Division 2, as has been shown by the teams that have come up and how they fare then when they go back down. There's like a lot of teams that are yo-yoing up and down between the two leagues. So look, you'd have to say, I mean, it would be a huge shock if Termon came close to beating Niamh Connell at the weekend.
I'll just stay with you because you were at the Glenfin St Michael's game, and St Michael's not overly impressive that day against Glenfin, who had a lot at stake. You know, a victory could have got Glenfin into the quarterfinals. I was at the Malin G.A.A game, and I have to say, very impressed with Malin. Any danger that St Michael's could be caught here?
Yeah, I think there's a huge danger this weekend. Like, of the 4 games, I think this one is the one, if there's going to be a shock, I think this is the one most likely to produce the upset. Like, Malin are coming in, probably one of the best results in the Malin club's history, going to Maharagallen, like, against a team with the tradition and stature of G.A.A, and going down there and beating them, you know, but for Owen McNeilis, Malin would have blown G.A.A away that afternoon.
Yeah. The only thing about it, Chris, I'd say is they scored a goal right after half time that put them 7 points into the lead, and the game looked to be dead and gone. But then G.A.A, through Owen McNeilis mainly, got to within a point to them, and there was a bit of panic set in before they got that goal that, you know, really decided it, and Declan Walsh set it up late in the game. So a wee question mark about Malin just for that period of the game. Looked as if it had won, and then G.A.A. came back at them.
Yeah, but I suppose the way Malin responded then, and they sort of did dig deep and they didn't buckle under the G.A.A. pressure, I think it probably says a lot about what the impact that Liam Bradley has had, and he's sort of instilled that bit of belief that they didn't buckle. You know, Malin teams under pressure from one of the big guns before might have just folded and might have allowed G.A.A. to creep over the line, but they didn't. You know, Liam Bradley's been saying it to us over the last few weeks that, you know, he believes Malin are capable of challenging these sort of big teams, as he calls them, and they did show that day in G.A.A. And look, one thing about them, they won't fear St Michael's. St Michael's posted 2 10-point wins against Four Masters and Claughaneely, and were really, I suppose, on course maybe to be considered as the favourites. That day in Glenfin, there's been a few questions about them since, you know, I mean, but for a couple of errors by Glenfin, Liam Ward's team would be in the quarter-finals right now, and that day I suppose it took a big performance from Colin McFadden, who's been struggling with injury now this week, injured himself there in the league at the weekend, and look, St Michael's are going to need everything this week if they're going to sort of avoid that upset, because I suppose it's one thing, you know, if you take that sort of club and county thing, they're like almost like the Mayo of Donegal football. They've come so close and just haven't been able to get over the line.
They won't like that. They won't like that comparison.
There's been so many times, you know, where you just think maybe this is their year, and they just haven't been able to take that final step. Big questions there. I suppose maybe the introduction of Declan Bonner to the backroom team might sort of give them an extra kick forward.
That'll be interesting. Do you think they'll beat Malin?
I think, look, the smart money is still on St Michael's, but as I say, if there's going to be a shock, I think it's going to be in this one.
Okay. Any chance of a shock between Glenswilly and St Eunan's, Alan? Take off your St Eunan's hat there just for a second now. This is the I suppose the nightmare draw for both clubs. It's the one that neither of them wanted. They didn't want to meet in the quarter-final, but repeat of last year's final. Eunan's less than impressive so far in the championship. Glenfin not overly impressive, but they've coasted through their matches. So how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's a real ding-dong battle, because I suppose when St Eunan's were beaten by Niamh Connell, you knew that they were going to fall into a big draw, because the way it was looking, it was going to be Kilcar, Niamh Connell or Glenswilly. So I suppose from the point of view of Maxie Curran's team, you know, the room for thought or whatever is out. This is just pure championship football now. There's no kind of playing your way into this, and I suppose between the two clubs have won 7 out of the 8 last 8 championships, which proves kind of the domination and how the rivalry has grown in recent years. Eunan's have probably a lot of work to do. They haven't really shown their best. A couple of things Glenswilly wouldn't be overly happy with as well. They've conceded a few goals there in the group, and a few of the games have been tighter, but at the same time they got through here with 6 points, and you know, I think out of all the teams left, Glenswilly are the kind of team that can really click into a championship mode, probably better than all other 7 teams left.
So Rory Kavanagh back, a lot of pressure on him. People keep saying, well, St Eunan's will have Rory Kavanagh back. I mean, it's a big ask for one man to come back. I know he's been playing competitive football in America, but nothing like the intensity that we're going to get at McCool Park on Sunday evening.
Absolutely, yeah. He'll know within 2 minutes, I'd say, when he's up against
He'll get
Neil
a rap
Gallagher.
or two.
He'll get a rap or two, I'm sure. But him and Neil Gallagher, you know, they're good friends, but they've great ding-dongs down the ear, and within 2 minutes, him and Neil, you know, it's one of them kind of pivotal battles. There'll be a lot of little ones, but like that's probably one that would nearly could go a long way to deciding this game, because down the years, if St Eunan's have ever got the better of Glenswilly, it's been Rory come out on top. Glenswilly have had their fair share of success too, with Neil coming out on top. So huge altercation there.
Yeah, but a lot of the St Eunan's boys who haven't performed this year so far are going to have to step up to the mark, or they have no chance of beating Glenswilly if they don't.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's really, like, I know it's knockout football, but it's really win or bust for Eunan's now. It's the sort of thing, if they can get over this game, it could be a huge springboard to a championship. They could nearly play themselves in as favourites, but Glenswilly will think the exact same thing, Charlie, because I think whoever comes through this game is going to be really battle hardened. Where we spoke about the other 3 games there, where there's probably pretty clear favourites in all 3. Maybe the St Michael's Malin mightn't be as clear, but I think this game it's maybe a 50-50, 49-51 or whatever, but whoever comes through it, you know, they'll have come through a real championship game, and I think they'll fancy themselves in, whoever they play in the last 4.
Who do you think?
I think at the minute Glenswilly have shown a little bit more form. I don't think St Eunan's have as much to go on, but it's funny, the 2 league games this year, I know that the Star game and Glenswilly, they'll not hold too much of that, but St Eunan's went out there and put in a good win that night, a 4-point win, finished the game 13 men. At the same time, the one time we really saw Glenswilly playing a kind of a championship team in the league, they had a really good win in Letterkenny earlier in the year, so like that showed the capabilities they have. And as I said earlier, if they can get up to them higher gears, I think they're very hard to stop.
Yeah, we'll bring in a neutral point of view then, Chris. St Eunan's, Glenswilly. You've seen Glenswilly in action a couple of times, and Eunan's, so what do you think?
Well, I've been very impressed with Glenswilly. I mean, without hitting top gear, Glenswilly have almost coasted through. Like, okay, they were pushed all the way by McCool's, but there's still something about Glenswilly. You just feel that there's another gear or two, and another big gear or two in them. Like, that evening they beat McCool's. Like, Murphy, who is obviously their 5-star man and the blue chip player in Donegal, he was maybe second gear. And, you know, if they can find those other couple of levels, they could be devastating. Now, the one thing about St Eunan's, they were heavily beaten by Glanties, and there was a lot of questions, and I suppose we were expecting a big backlash against Dunlow. It didn't really happen. Okay, they got over the line, but I think after the nature of that Niamh Connell defeat, we were maybe expecting Eunan's to come out and maybe throw out a statement of their intent that, look, we're back here and, you know, we're still rightly considered one of the favourites. It didn't really happen. Now, whether or not the return of Rory Kavanagh can lift St Eunan's that much, I don't know. For me, I think Glenswilly have a slight edge here, and it is a never so slight edge, because look, it's not even just a championship quarter final, it's a derby game, and probably one of the, you know, it's maybe a new rivalry in a sense that Glenswilly have, you know, only recently stepped into senior football, but this is huge, intense stuff. For me, the money's on Glenswilly.
Okay, give me your four semi-finalists then.
Kilcar,
yeah.
Niamh Connell, St Michael's, Glenswilly.
All right, Alan.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, and sorry for being the same, but
you're going for those four.
Yeah, with I think there's a lot of, we were said from day one in this championship, there's 5 teams that have a serious opportunity to win it, and that's no disrespect to the other 3, Malin, 4 Masters, and Termon.
Yeah.
So I think the big 5 will become the big 4 this weekend, I think, and it's hard to call really. There's not much really between the first and the 5th, whatever way you want to rank them yourselves, because as Chris said, like, Niamh Connell have shown excellent form of late, probably better form than anybody. Kilcar have been quite steady all year. Like, they really wanted to make an imprint in this championship. It's been a long time since they won it. St Eunan's or Glenswilly is a toss-up sort of game, and St Michael's are the sort of team, they just need to get a big result. I think like they're quite good at winning when they're in a strong position. You know, they can win well, but they want to come through a tight game, I think, to really prove their own championship credentials even to themselves.
Yes, I suppose interesting if you look at all those teams, the likes of Kilcar, you know, it's 1993, like, it's a huge famine, and the team they have and the players they have, they sort of need to be going now and challenging really seriously to win championships. The same of St Michael's, who have been there knocking on the door, they just need to get now inside the door. And then you look at the other teams, like Niamh Connell probably feel they've maybe left a couple of Dr Maguire's behind them. They, you know, certainly from those under 21 teams they have, they haven't really
should have won more. They should have won more.
They should really have had more senior success. And then I suppose St Eunan's and Glenswilly, look, nobody needs any introduction to what they've done. I think, you know, they've won the last few championships between them and stuff. So I think one thing we're all really going to be looking forward to this weekend is Sunday evening semi-final draw, because as Alan says, no matter which way that game Sunday evening goes, you're going to have 4 heavyweights in the pot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and especially I think it's if you just look at last year, because St Michael's ran St Eunan's so close. It was a 1-point game, and we were saying before the only thing that beat St Michael's that night was the referee's whistle. If the game had been 2 minutes longer, they could have won it. Maybe if 2 minutes shorter, they could have won it. It was just a real ding-dong game. And then I suppose Niamh Connell then ran Glenswilly very close. I know there was a lot of kind of talk about the substitute and the black card. Them 2 clubs can think they weren't far off either last year. Do you know what I mean? Even though they weren't in the final. So, and I think for Kilcar, even if they can even get to a final, might be a progress, because as we said, it's been since 1993. They've not even made the final since then. Charlie.
I suppose there's hurt is maybe driving a lot of these teams on. Like, you know, mentioned Glanties there, and what they haven't won. Kilcar the same. You know, you look at Glenswilly, like, I mean, they're channeling serious hurt and maybe anger from the way they allowed their title to slip last year. You know, never mind losing their title, but losing it to St Eunan's. There have been questions asked of St Eunan's, who probably feel they maybe should have went further in Ulster last year. So there's all these teams are coming in with something to answer to themselves. A lot of permutations here,
for sure. Well, I'm going to go for Kilcar, Niamh Connell, St Michael's and St Eunan's to win. Because it's not fair that you're all tipping Glenswilly. That'll not go down well with my friends in Glenswilly, but I think St Eunan's are going to produce a big performance on Sunday evening. I think they're going to produce a big performance.
Well, they're against the wall now, and there's only one way to come out of there.
That's it. Anyway, listen, we'll have extensive coverage of all the matches over the weekend, so stay tuned to DonegalSportHub.com.